Welcome back to the techCelerate TV studio here at London Tech Week 2018, where we're talking about mission critical technologies now, and here to help me do that, I'm joined on the sofa by Henry Rex, who is Programme Manager for Justice and Emergency Services at techUK, and Bernard Rix, who is Publisher at Policing Insight. Gentlemen, thank you very much indeed for joining us here today. So, Henry, I want to come to you first of all. When we're talking about mission critical technologies, what are we talking about? And when we're talking about how mission critical technologies fits into the events that we're celebrating here at London Tech Week and at techCelerate, how do they all play together?
Well, good morning and thanks so much for having me. So Mission Critical Technologies is an event that, as you say, is part of the London Tech Week umbrella, and essentially it's a half expo, half sort of conference, bringing together industry leaders delivering technologies used by all sorts of security agencies and blue light services in the UK and across the world, together with the public sector customers of those technologies, exploring essentially current requirements for how we can best harness technology to address public safety issues, and where the technology is going. So we're looking, one thing I think so this is the first year of the conference, one thing I think they've done really well is hit the ground running in terms of the balance between very current, immediate requirements that police forces and public safety agencies have. A police force could come here and buy a technology that they could use tomorrow to help meet some of their requirements. But also, it's quite forward-looking. They're looking towards the horizon. Where are these technologies going, and what do they mean for the future of public safety? And I think the other thing they've done really well is the fluidity between all of the events here. So we've got an AI section over there, we've got 5G World right behind us, and then we've got mission critical technologies. So you can fluidly move between all of them and see sort of what the technological advances are, and then see how they apply in the real world in this very critical aspect of public sector technology.
Thank you, Henry. Bernard, if I can come to you. When it comes to policing, and as Publisher at Policing Insight, this is very much your area, how are we looking at how technologies such as are on display here today, how are they changing policing? What's next? What are the programs that you're aware of that might change but make people safer at the end of the day?
Well, there's a fascinating range of different ideas here and initiatives that have been taken forward. For example, yesterday I was hosting a series of seminars, one of which was talking about reverse 999, which not a concept that I'd previously heard of. In essence, it's rather than you or I, when we're confronted with an emergency of some sort, we phone 999. It's the reverse. It's the emergency services, police, fire, particularly, being able to, with the support of the phone companies, identify the mobile phones that are in a certain area for which there may have been some sort of event, perhaps terrorist related, or public order of some sort, or indeed today we're marking the anniversary of the Grenfell fire, 1 year today. And reverse 999 could well have been the sort of thing that would have been useful to the fire service to be able to identify the specific phones in the Grenfell Tower and to send them specific messages about staying in the property or indeed evacuating, and being able to do that very rapidly indeed. So there's some real ideas and tangible programs here that haven't yet seen the light of day outside, but that really can help shape emergency services and policing specifically for the public benefit.
It strikes me, Henry in particular, about how, while what Bernard talks about works very well for policing, actually that technology is applicable across all of the blue light services, across all of the emergency services. A lot of the technologies have a broader application perhaps.
Absolutely, and there are, as you say, a great deal of commonalities between what the blue light services are doing and what they need in terms of technology to help keep us safe. And one of the good things I think that MCT have done today is that they've got the Home Office, for example, demonstrating their new emergency services network, the communications platform for all public safety agencies to use in time, during major incidents, to demonstrate how all three blue light services and other agencies can share information in real time to serve the public. And I think, again, they've brought together not just police forces here and international agencies, but also fire and rescue. I think I saw some ambulance people walking around. And often, these agencies are quite siloed. They're local and they follow organisational boundaries. So an ambulance service might not know what their local fire and rescue services are doing, who might not know what their local blue law enforcement or policing service are doing. And so conferences like this that bring them together, give them a chance to explore what each other are currently working on in technology, is really useful for them and, of course, for the industry who supply them.
Just like techXLR8, it's all about collaboration. None of the technologies here really stands in its own pillar. The value really comes when you start bringing them together. Bernard, coming back to the police for a moment, I'm interested about how a very established body such as the police, and I know it's multiple bodies around the country, how they respond to technology, how they respond to digital transformation, how open they are to some of the advances that you hinted on there with the reverse 999. Is there still a way to go, or do you get a sense that actually they're very open to how technology can help them innovate in the near future?
I think it's fair to say that policing is indeed very open. The difficulty that they often face, though, is something that Henry referred to a little earlier, the siloed nature. Not just between the reference that Henry made between the emergency services, police, fire, ambulance, although that sharing of information is getting better, but also between individual forces, also in the complex governance structure that there is for police ICT provision. That's not to stop new initiatives such as the reverse 999 and others, but it does make life more difficult to move things forward, because it's not just that one or a small number of people needs to agree to move forward. It's often into dozens, potentially hundreds of people that need to agree in order to take those sensible steps forward.
Before we go, I just want to put a question to both of you. I'll start with you, Bernard. Of the technologies that you're aware of here at the show, which one of those do you think will have the most profound impact on emergency services, on mission critical services in the next couple of years, would you say?
In a way, I'm relieved to go first, because I wonder whether Henry might also go for this one. Facial recognition is a key element. There are clearly concerns, individual concerns about protection of data and so on and so forth, but the facial recognition opportunity provides so much potential for policing, not just in the sense of finding the bad guy, but in more positive ways as well, such as identifying missing people potentially. Yeah. Now, I'll apologise to Henry in advance in that we were talking about this a little beforehand, and that was certainly one of the examples. But
so yes, I guess the question is, does facial recognition and that area of technology figure on your list of technologies for the next couple of years? They're going to have a big impact?
Absolutely, the impact there is going to be enormous. But I'm going to touch on a slightly different one, actually. So the session I'm chairing next is looking at unmanned vehicles or drones, and I think there's obviously enormous potential there for transforming mission, emergency services when responding to major incidents. Especially, we are still in a time of relative budget constraints. So in a time where there's a lot of pressure on police forces and ambulance service, on fire and rescue, to use their resources wisely, the opportunity to dispatch unmanned vehicles to respond instantly to situations, in a metropolitan area where maybe congestion means an ambulance or emergency service response team might struggle to get there quickly, a drone would obviously get there much faster and can provide the control room with real-time situational awareness, which I think will be hugely transformative in terms of how we respond to major incidents.
And once again, although it's a big topic conversation, we don't have time to discuss it now, whereas the technology may well be there or very nearly there. It's the legislation, it's the data protection frameworks, it's whether it's facial recognition, an identity, or whether it's flying drones in the sky. It seems as though one of the big barriers there is making sure that it's legal, making sure that everyone is on board with that happening, that it's not getting in the way of any other services. Unfortunately, I think we're out of time for now. But listen, thank you very much indeed, Henry from techUK and Bernard from Policing Insight, for your time here. Have a great rest of day discovering more about mission critical technologies. Thank you.